Call this meeting of the Price County Law Enforcement Committee to order. I'd like to thank the committee members for changing their schedules around to meet the meeting this afternoon. Clerk will call the roll, please.
Good afternoon. Jennifer Baradko. Here. Robert Kopish. Larry Polachek.
Here.
Patricia Stephen. Dennis Wortko is excused.
Items for discussion and possible action. Public comment and communications. We have one person here, Brittany Volkman, for public comment. State your name and your residence, please. You have.
My name is Brittany Volkman. I'm from Medford, Wisconsin. Meredith, I request that my public comment today be put directly into the meeting minutes word for word. Members of the committee, I have just handed you formal citizen complaint and a sworn affidavit requesting the felony prosecution of Investigator Dylan Scheller. I expect these documents to be entered in today's official meeting minutes. In November of 1990, this exact law enforcement committee recommended the termination of Deputy Jeffrey Heidemann. His offense, he engaged in off-duty political speech at a local tavern. This committee argued that his words disrupted the mutual trust and confidence of the sheriff's office. You took that termination all the way to the 7th Circuit of Appeals in 1993, and you won. You legally established your right to purge a deputy to protect the integrity of the department. I'm here today to demand that you uphold your own precedent, because if this committee can fire a man for off-duty words, you are legally and ethically bound to terminate Investigator Dylan Scheller for his on-duty actions. During a recent public event regarding the sheriff's election, Investigator Scheller utilized his personal social media account to publish a photograph of the suppressed internal police department intelligence memo. He didn't just leave classified intelligence to interfere in a democratic election to score cheap political points for his faction. Investigator Scheller intentionally posted this unredacted and broadcasted the name of an active victim of armed interstate abduction. He doxed a pregnant survivor of violence, endangering her life and egregiously violating her constitutional rights under Wisconsin's Marsy's law. But the liability does not stop there. In this one criminal complaint for State versus Connor Newman, Scheller explicitly admits in his own written narrative to committing a warrantless physical assault. He admits that when a survivor of police sexual misconduct.
And thank you. That's 2 minutes. Thank you.
Can I just ask a question, clarification? When did all this happen? What are we talking about date-wise? When did all this happen?
It is listed in the complaint. I don't know, Nick, if you want to
Have a date on it when all this happened? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you for your public comment. Anyone on the committee have anything for communications? I have none, so we'll move on to the meeting minutes of our May 7th meeting. What's your pleasure on that, ladies and gentlemen? Waiting for a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion. We accept them as written.
Motion by Patty,
I'll second.
second by Jennifer. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Coroner Department report, your moment in the sun.
Hello. Thank
Hi.
you so much. So where did you want me to start? Because I
At
didn't
the beginning.
really, in April, from what was left over. So after I took office in April, we had 6 reported deaths and 6 cremations. May was 18 reported, 17 cremation, 1 autopsy in that month. June, 16 reported deaths, 15 cremation, and 3 autopsies. And then July would be 16 reported, 12 cremation, and 1 autopsy. Any questions?
I always used to ask Jim this question. Any survivors?
Almost.
What?
Next time.
Okay. Thanks, Amy. Anybody have any questions from our partner? Okay, we'll move on. District Attorney's report. Sure. Clerk of Circuit Court. Nick, you have anything?
No updates up there. Obviously, we had a primary. We are aware that the current clerk of courts is not running for re-election. So there was one, or there wasn't really a primary, but there was a person on the ballot. There was no competition. So we will see a new clerk of courts in January. Other than that, we've had some cases coming that may cost a little bit more money, where we either have to house out of county special prosecutors or have special they're not witness, but like interpreters or things like that. But we're just monitoring that. But in general, it's busy as always up in the courts.
Okay, anybody have any questions of Nick for that? Just let us know when you're ready, Alexis. We'll go on to the sheriff's office. Congratulations, Bob, on your victory.
Thank you, Larry. I appreciate it.
Suppose you want me to do the first one, huh?
Yeah, you might as well. Yep.
All right. So, and Chief Deputy Hahn can jump in at any time, but just kind of an update on our radio project. We did do the RFP for what we're calling phase 1 of the radio project. So we received 4 bids for phase 1 of the project, which is the study to see what our options might be for a radio project. We narrowed that down to 3. I do have the 3 we narrowed it down to and did interviews last Friday. The people that were involved in the interviews were the county board chair, Brian Ernst, Sheriff Brian Schmidt, Chief Deputy Hahn, and then myself. Each group was given about 45 minutes. We did roundtable. We asked them about what they need from us, what we're expecting from them. Through that process, we narrowed it down to 2. I did some follow-up on Monday and Tuesday with those 2 to understand what phase 2 and 3 would look like, which I'll explain in a second, along with just clarifying. The 2 finalists were from out of state, and both of them ended up being clear in their bid that all expenses are included if they have to come here, blah, blah, blah. So those were type of the little things we were clearing up. But ultimately, when we were looking at it on the last 2, we looked at what phase 2 and 3 would cost us. So going back a little bit, phase 1 is to review all the equipment we have, review all the counties around us, review the towers, everything that we currently work with, the fire departments, the EMS.
Dispatch center.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll review that. They'll then come up with 3 plans. They'll have we can do this, but it's not going to be necessarily your 10 or 20-year plan, but we can do this. We'll have the Goldilocks plan, and then we'll have the Cadillac plan. So out of phase 1, they'll come forward to the county board and say, here's what we discovered based on your radio system, what we see as end of life, when you need it, how you need it, what equipment we're recommending for your size, all that. So they're the professional.
We're going to get that from 2 separate parties?
No. We ended up picking one, but
Okay.
both parties could accomplish that same task. Phase 2 was the RFP. So when we talked to both parties, both said that we're only covering phase 1, right? This is the bid for phase 1. Phase 2 is an additional fee, and phase 3 is an additional fee. Phase 2 is the RFP. Through the RFP process, both when I talked to them, both of them would write between 100 and a 200-page RFP, meaning they'll detail every piece of equipment that would fit the option that the county board was looking for. So then when we do get a competitive bid back, we're going to hear exactly the same. We're going to get apples to apples. Because if we did our own RFP, I mean, we could say, yeah, we need radios. We want to make sure we can talk to everybody. But then one company's going to say, oh, yeah, you could use this product and it'll do fine. And the other company will do this. Well, it's twice as much. But the first product didn't tell you that your towers don't jive with that product. So now you need new towers. So we want somebody to hold our hand through the RFP process, make it very clear this is exactly what we want, the timelines we want, everything. They also in phase 2 would negotiate those contracts and sign or tell us which ones to sign based on the RFP. So we'd have a very clear and concise plan. One of the parties, their estimate on that phase 2 is about 60,000. The other one was about 45,000. Again, all estimates, there was no guarantee. Then we would move on to phase 3. Phase 3 was you've signed the contracts. Now we need a general contractor in a sense to make sure the contracts are being fulfilled and that all that punch sheet at the end works. They go to all the corners of the county, make sure everything works. One of the companies said it would be about $100,000 estimate, but it's hard to estimate because you never know, but they would give you a clean bid when we got to it. The other party said it's between 1% and 5% of the total project cost. The reason it's such a wide variety is the bigger the project gets, the lower the cost, the percentage would be. So if you did a $20 million project, it's going to be closer to that 1 or 2. If you do a $4 million project, it's going to be closer to that 3%. So based on that's the whole timeline. The group that got together to review them is recommended this morning at executive, a company called TUSA Consulting Services out of Missouri. So TUSA Consultant Service, Missouri. Do you remember where Missouri? He liked the Kansas City Royals. So.
Yeah.
But so TUSA services with all 3 phases, looking at all what they offered as their services, it was the best package recommendation. Now, the resolution that was passed this morning at executive to fund it, so we're recommending funding out of the Bug Tussle Tower money. That will go to board next week, but in the resolution, it's very clear that phases 2 and 3, we're recommending that we go with the same provider. However, this is not automatic. We didn't just say we're doing this whole project. So phase 1 we're paying for, we're doing. In order to move to phase 2 and 3, the county board would have to give that permission. That's in the resolution that before phase 2 starts, county board has to say, we picked the option and we're giving the okay and we're funding it. Phases 2 and 3 would actually be funded through the borrowing process. So at that point, you as a board have said, we want to do a project. They're going to give you a good estimate. You're going to prepay some of it, but in the borrowing, you'd lump it all together because it starts to become $150,000 worth of work prior to doing the project. What the nice thing is, we talked about this again this morning at executive, is we know we have a major project coming. We know 99% assured that it's going to be a debt project because we're looking between probably at $2 and $4 million. With that, though, we're based on all the consultants talking to us, we're not at the point of like, we're going to pull a trigger anytime today. Like, we're not going to need that for this year's budget. So going into 2027's budget, we talked about there won't be this debt project put in place. But during 2027, the year of 2027, the board will receive these options probably late this, early year next year, late this year. Here's your 3 options. You want to move to the RFP process. Okay, now we're going to borrow some money. So you will probably, as a board in 2027, look at how much we want to borrow, and then we'll be putting it in the 28, 29, whatever years out budget. So this year we won't have that potential spike or that levy need. It'll be 28 and beyond. So that's kind of where we're at with the whole process. Everybody feels comfortable with the timeline that if we continue on, the goal live date / time would be in that 2020, early 2028 would be the switch goes on, maybe if we're lucky, late 27.
So the phase 1, what are we committing to with that
Uh,
company, how much?
No more than 55,000. So I think the bid was 48,500, 49,200, something. I could look at it. I have it right here. They range from 39,000 to the 49,000. So all three were within
And,
10,000.
and we'll, once we select that supplier, we'll be using that supplier all the way through.
That would be our recommendation. You don't have to, but I'm assuming if you go to phase 2 with someone else, they're gonna say, yeah, we can use this information, but
They're gonna get their
it's
own information.
uncomfortable, right? To not knowing the details.
So starting today, if everything goes well, when would you expect to have something up and running?
We said we would like the Go Switch 2028.
2028?
Yeah.
And how tough a shape are we gonna be in between now and then?
Well, and that I guess is the one nice thing about bringing in this consultant is they're going to be able to tell us what end of life really means, right?
For
If-
what we got now?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. You know, as far as like our portable radios and things like that, we do know when they break. Yes, we are finding replacement parts for the radios to be repaired, but they're doing it on eBay and Amazon and things like that. Eventually that's going to dry up. The nice thing with this consultant, they're going to tell us truly what end of life means. That does end of life mean it's done today and we're never going to be able to fix it again? Or does end of life means the product's just not going to be manufactured anymore, but it'll still be supported for 3 years?
And if
things
we
like
did
that.
have a breakdown, say a piece of the equipment were to break, the consultant would come in and say, replace with this because it would be your best option for long term. So you're not putting something in there and then a year later going, well, that was $40,000 wasted. So we felt confident with the timeline. We weren't, you know, yes, we know end of life to some people means a lot different things than what necessarily it is in this situation. End of life means they're not making the product. End of service is a lot different, and that's, they call everything end of life. Like they're going to do it for 5 more years, but then there's also other companies that'll come in for a price and do it for another 3 years. Or so that's part of the package. Is they're going to not just let us struggle for a year. They're going to work through any problems we may have.
So I would have guessed we'd probably have a little bump in the cost in our budget over the next few years, anticipating some of this stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe so. So, knock on wood, so far I don't think we've had a single portable radio go down this year, but that doesn't mean anything. So, we may see a bump in the spending as far as, replacement parts and things like that. I will say that our current vendor, Northway, they're phenomenal to work with. A lot of times if it's just a broken radio knob, they might just have one laying around that they'll bring up and give to us. So
And going back to the budget, there's 2 areas we look at budget. We've always had these parts and pieces breaking. So I don't see a major increase based on conversations that like, oh my gosh, we're going to have $10,000 more in broken parts. Where we are seeing issues with our budget right now is our 10-year or 5-year contract with radios is up. And so they said, well, you were paying $36,000 a year for maintenance. It's going up to $80,000. We knew that was coming 5 years ago, right? So, and then part of this project is both teams recommended when we do the RFP, you do a 10-year agreement. So you lock that in for 10 years, which helps our budget. It's just, we knew this is coming and the new one's not going to go back down to 36. The new one's going to be closer to what we probably are paying now. So that's the bump, the major bump. And we're seeing that across the board with technology.
I think I brought this up to you. I get input from up in Park Falls when I have coffee with certain people. And as far as EMT and emergency and stuff, one of the issues was brought up that I guess a system puts a call out to everybody or something, and we really don't need to be doing that. I don't really understand the issue,
Yeah.
but it sounds like it's an issue.
When a
Can
page
you-
goes out,
Can you
all
address
of them
that?
hear it.
oh
We talked
Yeah.
about that.
yeah,
So we don't
Yeah.
need people in Ogama getting all excited when they really aren't.
right.
gonna be
And that-
called out.
And I think that's more on the fire side, right? For the paging for for these calls. And with that, I think what would be beneficial is at our next fire association meeting, if we were to bring in Northway and Motorola and have them explain to them what that system is, because you still have controls over
Right.
over what that system is. And so I think it would be beneficial if we brought them to the fire association meeting, explain it to the fire chiefs, and
Go
if
from there.
if that's an
Okay.
approach they want to make.
I know those are two different issues, but bringing it back to this, we can talk more about that, but
I just-
this issue, we did with the both consultants. So the one we chose, the one we chose, they are going to be interviewing the fire departments. They're going to interview the EMS. And we suggested, and we probably will have to work with them, all these municipalities, these fires, everything, to say, you may want to also look at 2028 as a major, or 27 to 28 as a project, and maybe put some money in your budget so that not only our system's updated, but their system gets updated in a timely way, which then may have a better flow of work. Cause they kind of all the consultants kind of chuckled when we said, well, yeah, we have X number of channels and this is how, and they're like, oh, like that's a old way of doing it, but it's also a simple way of doing it,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Where, yep, maybe it's a fire in Park Falls and only fire gets it up there. That's what they do now. It's just, everybody's got to be playing on the same playing field too, which is not always easy. The one concern I did kind of catch from some of these is we are unique in the sense that we're surrounded by 8 other contiguous counties. And to make sure our system works with 8 other counties does make it a lot more difficult. It limits the number of products you can have and and that's why we wanted to bring somebody in. We didn't want to put in a Motorola or Kenwood or X whatever product and then go, oh, by the way, it doesn't work with Rusk
Ashland
County,
County,
Taylor
yeah.
County, Ashland County now because they're on this product. So we all have to work together, and that's what this party does, right? They come in and say, here's your Goldilocks, here's your Cadillac if you want, here's what you're doing now, we can patch it up. And they use a lot of acronyms that I don't understand. So throughout the process,
It's quite an experience, I'll tell you that much. So
I'm glad we've decided to go this route and bring somebody in. Because even when they said the RFP would be between 100 and 200 pages, I was like, no, they're like 2 pages. Like, we need a radio, So this is, for this size of a project, it's well worth putting the time and effort. And the money up front will save hundreds of thousands in the back end. Even if they just negotiate the contracts, they're going to be better off. We're going to be better off.
any other questions on that? All right. I guess, Nick, do you want me to go into the ordinance right away? Okay. So, apparently we've been having an issue with our campgrounds where people are bringing pets into the campground and not cleaning up after the animal, with defecation and things like that in the campground. And looking at our current ordinances and discussing it with Bryce, I feel that it would be difficult for us to issue a citation based upon the current ordinance that we have on the books right now. And so we asked Bryce to basically put some verbiage in our ordinance. It'll be 398-19 regarding anyone bringing or allowing pets to be brought into any property within the scope of this article, including within campsites, shall be responsible for removing any waste produced by these animals in a plastic or paper bag and depositing said bag into the appropriate receptacle. So that just, again, hopefully we'll be able to then address some of these issues. What brought this up was there was a couple camping at Silver Glade Campground. They drove all the way in from Montana, showed up at their campsite, and they had 30 different piles of dog feces in their campsite that they had to clean up in the dark before they could set up their camper. So, and then in talking with the campground host, apparently that there's been other unreported issues to us regarding that. So that's kind of what we're looking at here with this with updating this ordinance.
So if there's no, for the committee, what we want today is, does this sound okay? We'll move forward with it. It'll then come to you to see a version of the verbiage. The verbiage then would be okayed by you to go to public hearing would happen, and then it would be put in the newspaper for 30 days to be able to be used.
We're under item C on the agenda.
Sure. Yeah, sure. And
Okay, all right. I just want to know what agenda item we're talking about.
Rec officer, that'd be Rex Park.
Okay.
How would we keep track of this? Look on the videos, or how would we?
We have
out.
caretakers out there that would just report to the sheriff's department and say, hey, someone left, they left this, then we have their address and their name because they rent out the spot. And there's usually a witness to this action, so.
Yeah. Any other questions on the ordinance? All right. Moving into staffing updates. So Dawson Hauschild is in his third phase of FTO. So we believe that he is going to complete his FTO in the beginning of September and be on the road by himself. Our new hire, Brandon Boggs, he is currently in the Recruit Academy over in Rhinelander. He's doing awesome. I believe he's one of the top students in the class there. So we anticipate him graduating from the academy early September and then coming back to us for the FTO program. And then for our third vacancy, we are in the interview and background phase for a third full-time deputy. So hopefully we'll be getting that filled and moving on from there. Our humane officer, as always, Mindy is extremely busy with the animal calls. As of today, I believe she has 224 calls for service related to the animals. And with the canine units, we just have a canine fundraiser coming up here at the end of August. It'll be a trap shoot, and they'll have different raffles and things there. So we're looking forward to that. Deputy Calcevera has been putting a lot of work into that, collecting donations and putting that together. Our rec officer, he's been doing a lot of boat patrol, trying to get those hours in this summer. So he's actually currently out on the lake right now. So he's been doing some good things out there on the water, addressing some boating complaints that we've had on some of our lakes and things like that.
Bob,
Yeah.
is there a minimum time that he has to spend in order to get funding or something? Or how
I'm
does
sorry,
that work?
what's that?
On the boat patrol or rec officer duties, because he's not full-time rec officer.
Correct.
Is there a minimum number of hours he has to?
Yes. So far he has been keeping up with the required numbers for the DNR.
Okay, yep.
So he's been doing pretty good on that.
Okay,
We have had to pull him off of his rec patrol duties to fill in shifts because we are shorthanded right now. But so far it looks like he's going to be hitting his target hours.
are you getting any money from that lake association up in Butternut Schnur? There was some money that was given years ago. Are they still doing that?
I guess I'm not positive. I'd have to look,
Okay.
talk with
They
Leslie.
got an annual meeting coming up here in a couple of weeks. So I'll ask there.
I
Yeah.
can check with Leslie and
Yeah, okay.
get back to you on that.
Okay, thank you.
And then as far as the jail update goes, so we just had our kitchen inspection and the jail inspection. We haven't received the official reports back on those, but from what they verbally told us, everything looks amazing and we passed the inspection. So we'll wait for those reports. So is there anything else for me?
Any committee have any questions for Chief Deputy?
Okay.
Okay, well,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Bob. Are you ready, Madam DA? Okay, you're welcome.
I'm sorry, I did forget.
Oh, okay.
One, yeah. One thing that I did want, and this is an important thing that I need to bring up. One thing that we need to talk about is our open records requests. Now, we are required to fulfill these open records requests, and we're doing that to the best of our abilities. But I just want to make you guys aware of the influx of open records requests that we have received. So to give you an idea of what I'm talking about back in 2024, for the year, we received 195 total open records requests. And then last year, it jumped up to 322 total records requests. And this year, to date, we've already had 220 records requests that so far has taken almost 7,000 minutes. We do keep track of the time for fulfilling these records requests. So far, it's almost been 7,000 minutes of Annie's time, Annie Meyer's time going through these records requests, doing the redactions and fulfilling them. In addition to that, we do have one records request that is requiring Annie to watch over 21 hours of video and then to go back through and redact that video in order to fulfill this records request. So I want to make you guys aware of this, that Annie's job solely is not to do open records requests. She has other duties, but at this point, her job is completely inundated with fulfilling these open records requests. I do have, I guess, an example of one of the open records requests that we're receiving that, again, is, they're asking for a lot. Again, that's their right. But what I wanted to do is make this committee aware of the amount of time that it is taking her to go through these, to fulfill these requests. And in case anybody out in the public comes to you and says, why haven't I gotten my records request? I submitted this yesterday. It's a police report. I should have it today. Well, this is why. She is absolutely inundated, and basically she's working on it. She'll get to it when she can, but she is inundated with these requests.
And just to follow, that's across the board for the county offices. We're seeing additional records requests. The biggest problem we're seeing is, I guess, two. One is we'll get these records requests that say, I want to know everything you use in your server room for IT, and we're just denying those, and they can take us to court if they want to. But we're concerned about cybersecurity issues, because if they know every brand and every model number, that's going to be an issue because they'll know more options to deal with us. We're also just seeing super broad strokes, and it's really difficult to understand what they're asking for. So I want to know everything about X, Y, or Z. What does that mean? Is it for the life? Like, we've been a county for 100+ years. I don't know how far back, where we're doing. Or they'll be, I want every record from 1980 on, and then they're mad because we only keep the record for 7 years because that's the state records retention. So we're seeing more and more broad stroke rather than, hey, I would like that report that was handed out at the meeting and to understand it. Or we used to get a lot more people stopping in and just asking the question, saying, hey, I'd like to understand. It's trying to do the I gotcha moment rather than, hey, help me understand, and then ask for a record that may pertain to it. So this is not a problem just in the sheriff's department. We're starting to see across the state specialized jobs created because of this. So Ashland has one now. It's just a records, they call it open records something. It's
Custodian or something?
Yeah, assistant. And the problem with that is that goes on your levy, and that's $80,000 with benefits and Social Security and FICA and WRS position. So I think Ashland's paying $25 an hour for that. That's 50. You got to multiply all the other stuff. Time they take health insurance, you're looking between $80,000 and $100,000 of levy dollars that most counties don't have. So we're seeing it more and more. We remind the public that we are fulfilling these in the statutory requirement. It doesn't say we have to do it yesterday. We are working towards them, and same with the sheriff's department. But will respond within 5 days saying we received it, and then we'll begin to work on it. Some do require payment. We tend to not see that payment happen once they find out like, well, it's going to take us 20 hours to do this. Where there's statutory require or allowable, you can bill your lowest person that can accommodate that. So you can't just pick a random person. So there's a lot of guidelines in place, a lot of rails. It just takes time. And when you do tell them, hey, to make copies, it's X dollars, it usually changes the scope quite a bit also.
Yeah, I don't know what else you do. It's a statutory requirement that we provide the information. And
Right.
if we're getting more, I guess we're going to just have to figure out a way to do it,
Right.
you know, and yeah.
Use your mic quick. You got to turn around. Yeah.
Hello? Okay, now you can hear me. So I feel like I can teach a class on this, as much law as I've read on this already. So dealing with the sheriff's office and my office, obviously we're dealing with very sensitive information, right? And so there are provisions in the law that permit us to not always disclose certain information. So I know the first reaction to, of course, I have to share this with you, right? And then of course the law does say, yeah, you have to disclose, but it's the time that you have to put in, right, to see what you can and cannot disclose. So unfortunately, I don't have an answer for you with how to do that because I have an even smaller office, right? And I'm trying to be in court and answer these, requests at the same time, but also going through these files and making sure that we're not disseminating information that we shouldn't be, right? So I do spend a lot of time declining requests and citing law for that reason. But I would just say, if you get those requests, my recommendation is, of course, it sounds like you're doing it. It's just try to ascertain as much as you can about what they're asking for. You're right; they give a broad stroke, right? And they really don't have to be that detailed in their request. But if you can, have a relationship and say, hey, if you can just be more specific about what it is you want, because we don't have the manpower, we don't, have the time. We want to satisfy your request. And sometimes they can be a little bullish, right? They just want to do the whole I gotcha thing, like Nick was saying. And so I guess just understand that, and it sounds like you're already doing it. So don't just default to disclosure immediately because, maybe there's this inclination to do that because yes, the law says you have to disclose, but what exactly are you asking for and where are we at in the stage of this thing? And there may be a blanket denial that you can, disseminate to them. So I would just encourage to make sure that we are as the county, making sure that we are getting as much information as possible from them about what they want exactly. And then making sure, we are doing redactions as we can, but sometimes you don't have to redact. Sometimes it's just a denial. But you have to try to ascertain as much as you can about what it is exactly you're looking for, because the law does provide for exemptions and exceptions to that.
Yeah. And not only hours of service, it's costing us legal
Yeah.
bills too. Because like you said, you've dealt with it, the law, but we know the best we can do. But before we decide a lot of stuff, we go, hey, legal counsel, was this something that falls under anything? Good example would be personnel files. We get requests for personnel files and those go out, right? But there are certain things that have to be redacted and looked at, but we also have to inform the employee or ex-employee and give them 10 days to go to court to deny that open record and blah, blah. Like there's steps we go through, and we're well versed on all the steps, but every time it's different too. So it's been a challenge for every office across the board, and it's not getting any easier.
Yeah. Like I said, I wish I had an answer for you.
We wish there was an easy
Yeah,
playbook.
right. Just do the best that, we can with it.
All right.
So
Now,
as a committee, what is our feeling on that?
Well, it sounds to me like there's not one answer that fits everything, but you have latitude and you got to make sure you're following the law. But to the extent of law, if there's a permission to deny or refuse because of certain conditions, somehow we gotta get our hands around it, but we, you know.
And we are charging for that, right?
we
For
are
our,
charging.
our,
If the law permits, yep. So some you can't, some you can, you know, and some we're just taking risks too on, and this sounds bad, but like we know a county that we got an open records. I want everybody's email address, which is easily public, but the second they released it, they got cyber attacked and they used all those email addresses and it just started pounding their system and trying to get in through those individuals. So now the state has this kind of advice to just be aware that stuff's coming. And so I don't know who's going to take you to court over email addresses, but it's going to happen, right? So it'd be nice to narrow it down. Oh, what department are you looking for? You know, type thing. So we're working on it. We're well aware of the rails that we should be following.
okay, any other comments?
All right,
Thanks again, Bob.
Alexis, it is your turn now.
Oh, yeah, it's my turn. I'll make it quick. First of all, I apologize for being a few minutes late.
Not a problem.
Thank you. So I'll just kind of give you a quick synopsis of kind of where the DA's office is in terms of volume, and then just kind of generally give you an idea of where we are in terms of staffing and just generally how everything is going. So what I will say is that we're still at a high volume in terms of cases. Right now we have, I just break it down this way. We have about 250 cases still pending review. So they've been referred in by law enforcement, but we have yet to still review those and determine if they should be charged offenses or not. And then we have a total of 230 filed cases. So those are currently active cases right now in Price County. Of that 230 filed cases, we have about, let's see here. Where's my numbers? It's on my screen. Yes. We have a total of it's only two of us. So it's myself and then it's my ADA, Ian Mickelson. So for myself, I'm carrying 82 felony cases and 109 misdemeanors. And then Ian is carrying 10 felony cases and 29 misdemeanor cases. And of those felony cases, there are a total of 14 felony OWIs that are actively pending. So those are the cases that we're actively litigating or prosecuting currently. But like I said, we have still about 200 plus still needing to be reviewed. And of that number, we recently, just recently, maybe in the last 60 days, maybe roughly, just filed about 50 of those cases. So we're working towards getting to that number down as fast as we can. But in general, from my perspective, I believe everything is going well. I haven't received any complaints, at least not to my face. And so staffing is going well. I do have staff that is going for training in a few weeks. They're going to be bringing back some information regarding bettering our victim services. So we have one victim witness coordinator in our office who I think is doing an exceptional job, honestly. And so she will be attending this conference to bring back some information on how we can streamline some services with regards to victims. Because as you can see, we have a huge volume of cases and a lot of these cases have victims in them. And we want to make sure that we're providing the best service to victims. In addition, to that, there isn't much else going on in the DA's office. Like I said, we're just constantly trying to get the volume of the caseload down. Sometimes I am pulled away to handle things like open records requests, or I have to deal with appeals. So that does slow things down just a little bit. But otherwise, we are working diligently to try and get, address these concerns from the community. And that's the end of my report, unless you have any questions.
You thought it was going to be quiet up here.
Yes, right. My mistake.
Thank you for the report. I wish we had some numbers that we could refer to going historically, but we haven't been getting a report like this in a long time, so thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
So yeah, it is my intention to try and produce a report for you, and so you can see the movement that's happening. But I've been here now, I want to say 4 months, so I am still honestly still getting finding my rhythm here with everything that's going on. But my intention is to have that report so it's clear and it's transparent.
Thanks, Alexis. Any of the committee members have any questions for her or comments? If not, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Item number 7, committee vouchers. What's your pleasure on the vouchers?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Bob, second by Patty. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Date of our next meeting is September 3rd.
Are you gonna keep it at that? Same time, your usual time?
No.
Are you gonna change it?
9 a.m.
Okay.
for now. And it may be canceled if there's nothing pressing on there.
We'll have that ordinance that we want to work on, so you'll
Okay,
You'll
we
have
probably
it.
should have the meeting then.
keep that one moving. We already have it written, so.
Any more
we're ready.
comments? Okay. If not, we've exhausted our agenda and I will declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you.